KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
And good morning or afternoon.
Afternoon.
Thank you, and welcome to Lambda Weekly. I guess I'm early, but I'm Dave Taffet. I'm here with Lerone Landis. The late Patti Fink will be joining us soon because she's running a little bit late.
A little late.
And we have two guests on the phone with us, Smoot and Brenda McWilliams. Smoot is an author. She wrote the book, A Christian Coming Out, A Journal of the Darkest Period of My Life. Brenda McWilliams is with PFLAG and Tyler. The Tyler Public Library, now Lerone, see if you can fathom a library doing this. The library scheduled Luann, whose book is in the library, to speak at the library. And while she was speaking, they set up a little PFLAG exhibit with books and pamphlets and other things available at the library, in the library.
Wow.
I know. It's like, can you imagine?
At a library?
At a library. They had an author speaking at a library, and they were giving out information at a library. Whoever thought of those uses of a library?
Wow.
Leave it to Tyler. Hi, Luann and Brenda. Are you there? That's... Yeah. Yeah, are you there?
We're here.
You're here.
Hey.
Okay. Yeah, well, see, I told you I always push the wrong buttons. Luann, tell us a little bit about your book, first of all.
My book, as you've already said, titled A Christian Coming Out, is the story of my actual coming out experiences when I was 61 years of age. I had spent my life as a straight person, married for 37 years. I have 4 children, 6 grandchildren. I'm a retired school teacher, a Baptist Sunday school teacher. But I had known since I was a teenager that I was gay. But I decided to do as my parents and society and church told me was the right way to live. And that's why I married and lived a life as a straight person. But my book is about those experiences and about my eventually coming out when I was 61 years of age.
You know, and it's also about your being a very, very much living family values. You picked your family over yourself. Yes, I did.
Yeah. I determined that to get a divorce would be a very selfish act on my part because no one would benefit from a divorce but me. Mm-hmm. And that my decision after I married that I decided I would live with my marriage vows till death do us part. And I was able to do that for 37 years.
Well, Lerone, such filth in the library. Can you imagine?
I know. How long did it take you to write the book?
Well, actually, I was writing on it during 2000, and then I just kept revising it. It didn't take that long to actually write, but what took such a long time was getting the courage to actually share my secret with everybody. And I guess I was picturing my friends in my church reading about my life and who it really was, and I just wasn't sure I had the courage to lay it all out on the line for everybody.
And that really is a very brave thing to do. It's one thing, normally when we come out, it's one person at a time, you know, maybe to one parent, maybe to both. You write a book and you never know who's going to be out there listening.
Right. No, I could imagine all kinds of different people reading it and what they might think, and am I ready for this?
Right.
And it wasn't until 2011, 2012 that I thought, I believe I'm ready to share my life with others, because I kept telling myself it could be of benefit to other people.
Sure.
What's been the response from your family, your children, your grandchildren?
My family has been very supportive. My daughter lives here in Tyler with me. She and her family have 2 young children, and we babysit those children every week, if not more often than that. I have a son in Houston, and we regularly see them and enjoy having their son visit us 1 or 2 weeks a year. And the other children have been just fine with it. We've been very fortunate with the response from my family and from my 2 brothers.
Oh, that's great.
That's good. And they have nothing to complain about. The way you did this was, was wonderful. And
she's still grandma, no matter what.
Exactly.
That's right, I am. I'm grandma, and Brenda is granny.
Granny and grandma. I like that.
Okay, so Brenda, you work with PFLAG, and you set up an exhibit. Luann's book is in the Tyler Public Library. You were supposed to speak on Monday, and that's back on now, but you were supposed to speak Monday. So in conjunction with that, what did you do, Brenda?
I assisted Luann in gathering up our PFLAG resources and placing them in the display case. Of course, and I was, I guess I would have to say I'm a charter member of our East Texas PFLAG. I was part of PFLAG here back in 1988 and 99 when our PFLAG chapter was first established. And I've always worked in PFLAG. But,
your PFLAG is older than the Dallas PFLAG by a year or 2.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Our meeting was in June or July of 1999, I believe. But anyway, my contribution this week has been primarily to a call to action. When the display was taken down on Wednesday and we were told that her Luann's speaking engagement was to be canceled, I just kind of went into action with our East Texas PFLAG Facebook. I have seen the power of social media this week as we asked folks to give City Hall a call, and undoubtedly City Hall was, I guess I would have to say, overwhelmed perhaps, because by Wednesday afternoon, I believe it was Wednesday. Anyway,
I can't remember.
The next day, we asked people to call them the morning, and
I wrote about it on Thursday, so this happened on Wednesday.
It was taken down on Wednesday, and we were told it was canceled on Wednesday.
Right.
So Thursday, we asked everyone on Thursday morning to call City Hall, and
the reason they're calling City Hall, the library had arranged this. It was the city manager who did the canceling. I can't imagine a city manager getting involved in a speaker at the library. But
it was our the information we got. It was that the kind of direction to cancel and take down, move the PFLAG display came from City Hall, and so that's what we know. And so we sent our message was we needed to contact City Hall.
And I'm not questioning you. I'm questioning the sanity of the people at City Hall, as in, don't you have something better to do than worry about a speaker who's going to draw, a dozen, 2 dozen people to listen?
I agree.
We might could say it was a little micromanagement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We kept thinking that they ought to leave these decisions of the library up to the librarian, and yet they were not letting the librarian make the decision. This is one of the things that had us upset.
Yeah, well, and in this case especially, you're local. They knew you. They knew what to expect from a speech of yours and knew that it was going to be perfectly appropriate for a library setting.
They probably don't know me, even though we've been here. I've lived here in Tyler for 26 years, and I have tried in all kinds of ways to get my story in front of the public, but I have been totally unsuccessful. Well, I shouldn't say totally. I've had a few speaking engagements. One at UT Tyler at their Psychology of Gender class and at the Unitarian Fellowship. But other efforts have been rebuked, so to say, ignored would be a more accurate term. So when I was invited by the library to speak, it just thrilled me. I thought, finally, I'm getting what I've been wanting for all these years. I have a chance to share my story with my hometown. So it was quite a blow when that rug was pulled out from under me.
What reason did they give you? What was the official reason that they gave you for the speaking engagement to be canceled? We know that's not the real reason, but what was the official reason they gave you?
Okay, David, if I can address that.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The reason, that City Hall perceived the talk to be political, and of their policy is the library is, and the city is non-political, non-partisan, blah, blah, blah. The only reason or the only explanation for that was that the original news release publicizing the event contained a quote from a current politician, and that politician was Hillary Clinton. So we are purportedly, that quote in that news release that was written by city and library staff led City Hall to perceive that the talk would be political. And thus, the initial word to us was that would be canceled because they could not sponsor a, quote, political event. You know, since that time, they have backtracked. We are going on with the talk on Monday. However, the library nor the city will sponsor it nor promote it. And we can only assume that's still because of their perception that it is political.
Now, with the display is a PFLAG display, and they were accusing you of being political also. And your answer to that was, we're a 501c3 nonprofit, which means by definition we aren't political. What we are is an educational and not advocacy group, but an educational group, really.
A social group almost.
Yeah.
Well, we stand for education, advocacy, and support, and very nonpartisan. We have been very careful here in East Texas to be nonpartisan. But the problem with the display was that people thought it was too close to the children's area, the children's book.
Well, but that excuse didn't come up until Friday.
It was ridiculous. There was nothing in the display that would even attract children. There were no pictures that would be in any way objectionable. There was just nothing there that would cause anybody to have any problems with
But
that.
even if it was, why didn't they just say in the first place, if that was really the reason, which it wasn't, why didn't they just say, would you mind moving that from here to there? Do you think any newspaper or TV station would have been interested in your story? City makes PFLAG move a display 20 feet. Who cares? You would have done that, and it wouldn't have been news. That wasn't that wasn't the reason. That was their excuse. That was excuse number 3 when the other two didn't work.
Well, we feel sure that they received phone calls from constituents that were upset about the display and upset about the advertising of my talk on Monday, and they just caved in.
Instead of saying, no, a library is where authors come to speak. We have authors speaking on a whole variety of topics. A library is a place where you get information. PFLAG is a group that's been around for more than 20 years in this city. This is the first time they have a big display in the library. They have information to give out. You can get information at the library because that's what a library is for.
And if you don't like what they're talking about, then just don't go to the speech.
That's right. That's right. That's the freedom of our country.
Exactly.
And I think, too, that, and I pointed out in my email to our city manager, this idea that it was too close to the children's area, if a child came by, like I said, and the display was not one that would attract children's attention. It had no colorful photographs, pictures, no dangling ornaments or stuffed toys. It just had words, pictures with words like faith communities, transgender, family, lesbian, healthcare, Bible, homosexual, words. And my thinking is that, if a child were old enough to be inquisitive and ask a question, then that would be a wonderful opportunity for parenting.
Absolutely.
The parent then could answer the question, provide the child with information and guidance as they, the parent, deemed appropriate.
Because God forbid they might have a gay child themselves.
Yeah. So, the proximity to the children's area, again, that was an excuse. And the reality is the display is back up exactly in the same position, same place in the library as it was to begin with.
Oh, it's in the same place.
Oh, yeah.
So you didn't even move it.
Right next to the children's area.
Well, it's adjacent to it's adjacent to the children's area, in the main traffic area of library.
And another interesting point, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Another interesting point is that I'm scheduled to speak a second time in the library on the 16th of June, and this event sponsored by the Tyler Public Library and our Tyler Together Race Relations Forum group. And this is their cultural diversity program. So we asked the two ladies from the city manager's office when they called and talked with us about their press release. We asked them if this program was going to be allowed to go on, and they said, oh, yes, that's a planned program.
And this one was not, right?
Wow.
So it's been very, very interesting. There's been a complete turnaround, with the exception, as I think Brenda's already mentioned, that the library and the city will not sponsor my Monday night talk.
Okay, so now here's the upshot of it. This has been all over the news. I know your local CBS station was out there right about the time I spoke to you on Thursday. So it's been on TV news there locally. You're here, so it's going out all over North Texas. You're getting all kinds of publicity for this that you never would have had before. You're gonna have a lot more people there than you would have had. What does the city manager's office really think they gained?
Well, I know we gained a lot, I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
It's been wonderful publicity.
Have you had any people call you as a result of this, asking for more information and saying that they need help? Or
No.
not yet? Not yet. I have a feeling those calls are coming.
I think they will eventually.
Yeah. Luann Smoot, author of A Christian Coming Out, a journal of the darkest period of my life. If you'd like to read the book, it's available at the Tyler Public Library. I'm not sure if we have it at the Dallas Public Library, but if not, I'm gonna make sure. And Brenda McWilliams, both with PFLAG out in Tyler. Both of you, thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies, and good luck.
And good luck tomorrow. And thank you for being with us. We'll be back with more Lambda Weekly right after this.
I listen to the Lambda Week on 89.3 KNON FM, Dallas.
And welcome back to Lambda Weekly. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with the late Patti Fink, who made it.
I'm here.
And Lerone Landis. Okay, so here's what's so odd about Tyler. 1993.
There's just one thing?
Tyler government.
Okay.
1993, Nicholas West was killed in a park in Tyler. That was the first time, the investigation into his death was the first time any Texas police force, and there had been hate crimes like this in Dallas. That's the big Judge Hampton thing, where a judge came out against the murder victim.
And sentenced the killer lightly.
Lightly.
Because he was just a homosexual.
Same thing in Houston. Tyler was the first place where a hate crime against a gay person was taken seriously by the police department. They investigated, they charged people, they prosecuted it to the fullest extent of the law. First time in Texas. This year there was another hate crime Ty Underwood, a trans woman, was killed. And I know we were in touch with them. There wasn't a whole lot of news about it going on out in the news. Sounded like, are they doing anything? I can tell you we were in touch with them, maybe not every day, but every day or every couple of days until somebody was arrested. They assured us, and we had contacted them from Dallas Voice and asked, is there anything that we can do? Anybody that you're looking for that you'd like word out in the community? So they were very helpful. They confided in us. We're getting close. We have a couple of leads. And 2 days beforehand or a day beforehand, they told us we have somebody that we're about to arrest, and we'll let you know. And they let us scoop that one because we had been working with them all along. The Tyler police are serious about those kinds of things. Do you know any other city where the liberal entity of government is the police department?
No, not in Texas.
Where the police department is taking the lead on appropriately dealing with the gay and lesbian community. Tyler's police department, I think they're among the best.
Well, and Dallas, too, I think is doing pretty well.
It's doing well, but you know what? Dallas's police department, it was after Tyler's. I just have to, I can't say enough about Tyler's police department. Great job. And the fact that it's this small town with a city manager who seems to be a real yutz.
But we've seen this very thing happen before. Remember, guest many times on our show, Del Shores, playwright, author, screenplay writer, had the opening of Southern Baptist Sissies right here in Dallas, and then the right wing had a fit. There was enormous publicity, and it was a sold-out show.
Right.
You
So
know.
there is a big silver lining.
Oh, great silver lining for them. They got all kinds of publicity because what kind of a publicity budget does the library have?
Sure.
Right.
So this was all over the news in Tyler. It was all over social media here. Even if they had used social media, well, there's not the controversy. So, people would have said, oh, that's interesting. She's speaking. And, and she confided in me. I said, what kind of what were you going to say at the library when we were first talking? And she said, I taught Sunday school at First Baptist Church here, and I get embarrassed listening to some people talk in the gay community. So, she is going to give the most appropriate talk tomorrow.
Probably by Dallas standards, very benign.
Well,
Sure.
and here's somebody who really lived by family values in that she put her family first for years because she was raising her kids. I give her all kinds of credit. I just think she's fabulous.
Well, hopefully they'll follow up with us and let us know how the attendance was.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be very good.
A lot of news to talk about.
There is.
Oh God, which one of you guys want to start first?
You have the mic.
Triple Crown.
Oh.
That's the biggest deal. Come on, 37 years. We screamed. Our dogs had never seen us cheer like this in front of the
That's
TV
too funny.
before. It was pretty funny.
So what do we make of that?
I heard
That
about it.
talented a horse?
Yeah, I think so. And two, there have been a lot of talk since California Chrome missed it last year, and the owner, kind of ran a rampage about the rules about what horses compete and all this, and there was talk of maybe changing it. And we're like, no, there've only been 11. There's a reason there have only been 11, because this is tough to do all of those races in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
That's part of the thing that makes it such extraordinary. As an extraordinary win is that this horse can do these 3 races.
Well, and I
5
didn't
weeks.
realize the difference between the races. It's not just 3 racetracks that are similar. It never
No,
occurred to me that these
it's
were.
increasing length. Every race is
And
longer and longer.
some horses are better at longer races. Some horses better at a short sprint. And for a horse to win the Triple Crown has to be adaptable and good at both.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I never realized
you look at the Preakness at Pimlico, and it was pouring rain. I mean, this horse won by lengths in pouring rain, mud, slapping mud around. It's extraordinary. I don't think they should change a thing.
One other thing, though, that was kind of interesting was what has spoiled the Triple Crown is that not all horses compete in all three. So you'll have some that will compete in Kentucky, skip the Preakness, and then just go to Belmont, so that horse has had more time to rest and recover.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. That's what makes this whole scenario, just leave it like it is. Because if you can do that, that's extraordinary. Now we have 12.
That
since,
is.
Since 1903 or whatever. Cool.
Well, there's some big news last week that we didn't have a chance to get to, and that is we had the first country in the world voted for marriage equality, and it not that didn't become because of a court order or a law passed, and that is Ireland. To the surprise of many, myself included, because it's such a Catholic-dominated place. But I thought it was awesome.
I thought it was incredible.
Yeah.
And I spoke to somebody who was a former city councilman in a town in not Northern Ireland, but the north of Ireland, near the Northern Ireland border. And he was explaining, and it's somebody that I met through somebody else on Facebook, and we had this nice online chat. He was explaining that he was not at all surprised. The polls were showing all along marriage equality, actually, the margin was increasing. It wasn't, as he got close to the election, tightening up. It was just increasing all along. So he would have been surprised if it wasn't a big victory.
And you know what else I liked about it is when it was all said and done, the opposing side said congratulations. Okay, we lost, congratulations, and move on. Wow. Could we ever see something like that here?
No, they're kicking and screaming.
Kicking and screaming and still looking for another way to undo it or get around it. It's just like, wow.
Well,
I mean,
It's pretty amazing.
that was actually probably the biggest surprise out of all of it. Like, really? They congratulated him?
well, some people know how to be polite.
Exactly.
Well, one of the things he
face
said was,
reality.
because it's a Catholic country, it surprised you. And that's one of the things about marriage equality that has been interesting to watch, but it's not surprising.
Over here, most of the most families with Catholic backgrounds are actually very supportive.
And what's the most Catholic state by percentage?
Massachusetts?
No, actually, Massachusetts is number 2. Rhode Island is number 1.
Oh.
Vermont has a nice big Catholic population. So does Maryland. Well, what's interesting about these are the states where marriage equality has passed with the least amount of
resistance
of sky falling.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Of Chicken Littling.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. We had on as a guest Sister Janine Gramick a number of years ago. She's from New Ways Ministries, which is a ministry she started back in the 1970s to minister to gays and lesbians and bring them into the church and to work for equality within the church for gays and lesbians. And one of the things that she said was, Catholics get it, and they learned it from the church. Family values. Just like Luann's in our last segment, she stayed with her family. Why? Because you just do.
And this is family values without quotation marks?
No, I'm talking about real family values. Family values meaning unconditional love. Well, if you have a large family, and Catholics, that's in a way it's a stereotype, but lots of Catholics do have large families.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a large family, you have a number of children, your sisters and brothers have children, one of your kids is going to be gay.
Just statistically, yeah.
Statistically.
Yeah.
What do? Do you throw them out of the family, or do you unconditionally love that person? Most Catholics get it, and they unconditionally love their family member. In New York is also a big Catholic state. Mm-hmm. When New York was polling on marriage equality leading up to the legislature legalizing it, Catholics outpolled Jews by 1%. I was saying, Jews, what is wrong with you? But Catholics were outpolling Jews. Why? Because they believe in family values, real family values that come from having families that you love. It's real simple.
Well, one of the things that, speaking of, when Ireland had their campaign
Mm-hmm.
for marriage equality, they had some amazing TV ads.
They
that
did.
ran nationally.
They did.
And a lot of it was focused on bringing your family to vote with you, to vote yes. And they were really heartwarming, sometimes funny, ads that really encouraged go together as a family and vote. And that's exciting.
Well,
that's pretty exciting.
and that works into the whole idea that we've known all along. If you know somebody gay, you're much less likely to discriminate against them, against gay people, not against that
And of
gay
course,
person.
there's the whole big thing about the many rainbows that appeared over Dublin.
Yeah.
The day of the election.
Yeah, that was nice. And it was actually kind of bittersweet also. I don't know how Ireland's government is run, how much it mirrors ours, but I mean, it was bittersweet that, yeah, we won, but it goes back to this thing of, really, should we be voting on anybody's marriage? Over here, of course, we'd be happy to win, but I don't want to see that come to a vote at all.
Well, like it did in state after state in the early 2000s.
Exactly.
Basically, that's what we were
That's
voting
basically
on.
what we were voting for. You're exactly right.
So, yeah, you don't vote for people's rights.
Right.
That's why we call them rights.
And yet, if the Supreme Court, in their ruling, which we expect to come this month, probably
Could come as early as Monday.
It could be tomorrow.
I doubt it,
I
yeah.
doubt it's tomorrow, but I think it's going to be the 22nd or the 25th or maybe the 29th. But, if they vote, there are two questions they have to answer. One, does the 14th Amendment require states to issue licenses to same-sex couples? And two, assuming that's yes, then or no, then they can. Is there recognition? Does the 14th Amendment require a state to recognize other states' marriages? And that one possibility is that it's no and yes. In which case, it would be those states in the United States now that came to marriage equality not by federal court ruling. And so it will be those that voted, like Maryland. It passed in their legislature, the governor signed it, and then they put it to a public vote, and it voted in. They would continue to have marriage equality, so all those states would continue to have marriage equality. So it's kind of ironic that the states that did have voted on it, either through their legislatures or directly, would be the ones that would survive a ruling like that.
And so you don't think Oklahoma would survive that?
No, I don't.
No.
Oklahoma and Alabama actually might not survive marriage, but for a different reason. A law passed in the Oklahoma House and in the Alabama Senate. They're different laws. Oklahoma says that...
Same aim, though.
Same aim. They're aimed at same-sex marriage.
Right.
In Oklahoma, they've done away with state marriage, or would, this law, if it passes and gets signed, would do away with marriage by the state. You would just be married by your pastor. And then you would...
They're saying
Repeat that again.
Okay, so...
Because I don't know if any people actually
Okay,
get that.
Oklahoma would only have religious marriage.
Right.
Now, this wouldn't stop same-sex marriage, and in fact, I know a couple of rabbis in Oklahoma who are saying, okay, so we can continue marrying same-sex couples. Do we need to open branch offices in Enid, Ardmore, Ponca City, anywhere and everywhere? This could be some windfall.
So what that does mean is that
The state would never
you
recognize
you could not go and have just a justice of the peace marry you,
No.
or
It
any
would just be
elected
they
official.
would only have religious marriage. Then you go and you file a certificate from the pastor with the state. Alabama's has the same goal, but they'll be doing away with all marriage licenses altogether.
This is the
However-
old, if we can't have it our way, we're not going to do it at all.
Exactly.
Yes, it is. However, you again would file a certificate of marriage. Where this comes from, I'm not sure, but a certificate of marriage with the state. Here's the problem. If you want to file joint taxes, I'll go back to Patty's favorite topic, which is taxes. You want to file joint taxes with the federal government. You want a passport and change your name with the federal government. What do you need to show them?
Your marriage certificate.
Your marriage
No,
certificate.
your marriage
License.
license. Thank you. Not a certificate that a pastor issued to you. You need a state-issued marriage.
License.
Thank you, and not some silly form that came off of somebody's computer that anybody could do.
Right.
Yeah, so you need a marriage license. So people from Alabama and Oklahoma, when it comes time to file their taxes, when it
So
comes
what
time
happens?
to,
Well, what happens then if there is a ruling, let's say, where it's no on the first question and yes on the second question, and Oklahoma has to recognize marriages from other jurisdictions? Will it recognize its own?
it's questionable. And
know,
somebody
I
could
mean-
take that to court.
Yeah, it's like if you have to recognize those from California, those from Massachusetts, those from
Right.
Iowa, do you
Right.
have to recognize the ones from Oklahoma? You know?
Not necessarily. Full faith and credit doesn't say I have full faith and credit in myself. And you know
I
what?
honor my very own marriages.
In Oklahoma's case, that might be a good idea.
So if you live in Oklahoma, you have to drive down to Texas to get married and to have it recognized in Oklahoma.
Isn't that ironic?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or let's say to Louisiana,
Or Louisiana.
Ooh,
Yeah. Wow.
Arkansas.
I mean, they're going nuts right now,
They are.
trying to figure out how do we circumvent something the Supreme Court is doing, and the answer is
You can't.
can't. You know, Citizens United is a perfect example.
We hate it. It's with the law, though. It's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Did you see a state like Massachusetts filing a law that said, well, in this case, we don't have to listen to the Supreme Court?
No.
I don't think so.
And even in the Hobby Lobby case,
Oh, exactly.
You know,
Very
I
good
mean-
example.
didn't see that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And yet in Texas, they put it right in there. It's just as unconstitutional as it can be. No court can ever review this law. Wrong. That's insane. You know, or Mike Huckabee saying, well, we can just opt out. A state can just opt out of the Supreme Court ruling.
Mm-hmm.
Not so. In any case across history, has a state been able to say, well, I don't want that to apply here. It's the friggin' Supreme Court of the United States.
Yeah, but we know Mike Huckabee has all kinds of credibility right
Yeah,
now.
let's talk about him in a second. We need to take a break. You're listening to Lambda Weekly on 89.3 Knon FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with the late Patti Fink and Lerone Landis. Josh or Chris or somebody is at the board. Doc is answering our phone but wasn't here to keep me from screwing up the phone earlier. And we'll be back with more. Do you like the way I do my credits? Yes. Okay, good. We'll be back with more right after this.
This is Jake Winters from Leicester, England, and I listen to Lambda Weekly on KNON 89.3 FM.
And this is Lambda Weekly on 89.3 KNON FM. I'm Dave Taffet here in the studio with the late Patti Fink and Lerone Landis. Lerone, you wanted to start
Well,
with
the big, I guess, celebrity news this week, but it very much is part of our community, and that is Bruce Jenner's new introduction as Caitlyn Jenner. And boy, has social media had a field day with it. I expected the negative comments to come, but I was really surprised to hear them from fellow celebrities. I mean, they're just flat out mean-spirited and just demeaning. Like Snoop Dogg referred to Caitlyn as a science project. Tom Cruise's son, O'Connor Cruz, even weighed in on the subject. He's only 20 years old and a little twerp. What do you know? But he's upset that Caitlyn Jenner is going to be awarded with the Arthur Ashe Award.
Courage Award.
You know, it's the Courage Award. You know, and it's a long quote. I don't have time to read it. And even a guy his name is Drake Bell. I hadn't heard of him for a long time. He used to play on Nickelodeon. I watch him on old shows with my daughter. He tweeted that, sorry, still calling you Bruce. And there were several of those. I mean, really? Why? I just don't get it. I mean, that's just like intentional, malicious disrespect.
Now, we're talking about it, and my real reaction is, why do people care?
It's like, why do you care so much?
And we're talking about it on the air.
But why do people care so much to go out of their way to be mean about it? If you don't care, you disagree with it, don't understand it, then just shut up.
You know, and seriously, when we were in the green room before the show, and for people listening, we always have a meeting for about a half an hour before the show, and Lerone and I talk, and Patti calls in that she's running a little bit late.
Which is pretty true.
It's very true.
I do occasionally come early enough to be part of the meeting.
But we were even saying, do you want to talk about Caitlyn Jenner? And it was, yeah. And then we thought of a couple of things to talk about that we do want to talk about. But if you don't care, why care?
Well, and folks have been all over social media, they've been putting up these memes about who should have gotten it or who was actually officially a runner-up. And ESPN says there's no such thing as a runner-up. It's all fake. And people were still arguing about it even after they learned the truth. They were like, well, of course there's runner-ups. I'm like, oh, stop.
Right.
Grow up.
Well, have you seen the memes of comparing Caitlyn Jenner to military servicemen?
That's what the same thing I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Saying, oh, these guys should have won, and they were the runners-up.
Yeah.
That's the way they were characterized as. Here were the runners-up for the Courage Award. The
ones I just saw just said this is one I saw said this isn't bravery, and a picture of Caitlyn. This is bravery. And then a picture of somebody in the military, and it's like, really, this is not a competition.
I think it comes down to do with the whole He-Man, macho, uber masculine thing that Bruce Jenner, kind of represented for all time. Here was this, the super iconic Wheaties box. Mm-hmm. Gold medal.
The Bruce Jenner Wheaties box really is the iconic Wheaties box. If you think of one with one,
that's the one that kicked it off, and as the thing to do.
Mm-hmm. And so here he is imbued with all of this, not just masculinity, but super masculinity, like a
hyper masculinity.
Hyper masculinity hero. Says all along I was really a woman.
Right.
And I think there are a lot of men out there who can't take that. And so they have to say, oh, you're not feminine enough to be feminine, but you're not masculine enough to be masculine either.
They want to take away
that's the one. That's the one that really got me, David. And there was a petition sent to the OIC to remove his medals from him that he won back in 1976.
Now,
isn't that insane? It's like that's some feeling threatened.
It's really feeling threatened. The OIC did respond, and they said they've never had an issue with it. At the time, Bruce was a man, acted as a man, presented as a man. He keeps his medals.
And there were no hormones involved at all for there to be any question or discussion.
Right. Exactly.
Or not that I'm saying that there should be when hormones are involved. I'm saying there wasn't an issue at the time.
Exactly. We're talking about in 1976. There was no issue.
There was simply no issue then.
And as far as the Arthur Ashe Courage Award that's awarded by ESPN, they don't take open nominations. They don't publish a nominations list. They just award. And so they awarded this to Caitlyn Jenner, and past recipients haven't even been athletes. I mean, Howard Cosell's won.
Right.
Lots of other people who are not even actual athletes. Robin Roberts won.
Right.
She covered sports, but she wasn't a professional athlete or amateur athlete herself. No, so lots of people have won this award that didn't seem to, say, oh, well, they're braver people.
Interesting how many trans and gay people are involved with this award.
What do you mean?
Robin Roberts.
Oh, yeah.
Arthur Ashe. Well, no, Arthur Ashe was not.
No, but he had AIDS.
But he did have AIDS.
He did die of AIDS.
Yeah.
And here, I think there's a huge parallel between Caitlyn Jenner and Arthur Ashe, because Arthur Ashe came out, he contracted HIV through blood transfusions, but coming out in a time when he was at the top of his game, he was known around the world. He was
one of the few, but not only that, he was one of the few African American tennis players.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there are some parallels. And
hyper-masculine. And revealed his HIV status at a time when, people were just pariahs.
This was early 80s.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so, I think that does parallel Caitlyn Jenner, who was this hyper-masculine thing to say, I've been a woman from day one.
And what do you all think? There's been some, I guess, constructive criticism from the LGBT community about her revealing or all the attention she's getting also, and particularly that we're calling her brave or a hero because she hasn't done anything yet. Well, I have seen those comments from our own.
The part of it, I think,
she's incredibly privileged. There's no
question.
No doubt.
That's the part of it that I think a lot of trans people are feeling. Well, most trans people, when they come out, lose their job, lose their, not most lose their family, but a number lose their families.
Lose their homes, lose their savings. Everything.
Can't afford the necessary hormones and or surgery if they elect to do that. Obviously, Caitlyn could.
And that's the part that I think they feel it's giving a false picture of transitioning.
Right.
Of what transitioning is like for somebody.
And many people never get any surgeries.
Mm-hmm.
Right. As I said, if they choose to.
Well, and surgery isn't even the major part of this.
It's not, but to hear the right-wingers or those who are opposing this, it is. That's everything.
Yeah, they are. They're going in on it.
Whether the penis is there or not.
Oh, no, they're totally going in on that. It's like really, totally focused on that. But you know what's interesting? I don't remember, I'm sorry, help me out, Cher's son. Chaz. I don't remember Chaz getting this type of heat.
You know what? There's a difference.
Is it because it's a female to male?
No, I think there's a difference. The difference is that Chaz was a lesbian, involved in the community, had all of these connections, knew who to talk to and how to transition and come out as a trans man in a way that Caitlyn Jenner didn't. And when I spoke to a couple of national trans activists who spoke to others about this, my question was, did Bruce Jenner, and this is when Bruce wanted to be known as Bruce, but had already come out as, after the Diane Sawyer interview, did he contact you just for, hey, do you have any tips for me? I'm going on, it was Diane Sawyer? It wasn't Diane,
yes, it was Diane Sawyer.
I'm going on Diane Sawyer. I'm talking about any tips for me, anything that might be good to bring up, anything legally. And unless Bruce was in touch with some people locally who didn't relay that, and really kept it very confidential, nobody heard from her.
But I think for me, I have two opinions about that. One, he didn't have to.
I didn't say he had to.
But he is getting some heat or she's getting some heat for that. And we've talked about this with some of the trans people we've had on our show. They all do it different. And that's okay.
Yes, but when you talk, everybody comes out differently as gay too. But you talk to other gay people, the more gay people you talk to, the more comfortable you are with yourself. I think the more trans people that a transgender person talks to, the more comfortable you are with yourself. And none of that is criticism. It's just, I think that's where some of the discomfort I don't want to say criticism, I'm just saying some of the discomfort with...
Well, you remember the governor of New Jersey, Greevey?
McGreevey. I'm a gay American, proud gay American.
Right. Well, he had contacted HRC and asked, how do I say it?
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to say it?
Oh, did he? I didn't know that.
And they said to say, I'm a gay American.
For people who don't remember this case and how it relates to me, the reason he came out, and I will say this, anytime that man's name comes up, is because he was about to be indicted for a lot of fraud, and instead my cousin Gary Taffet was the only person in that administration who was indicted, went to jail for what he did. So that's just my little...
Right. And he's since gotten married and he's living in Australia.
Yes.
Yes. Gone.
Where they can't arrest him.
Right. But the other thing that I think ties back to the current New Jersey governor was, have you seen the photo?
Oh, yes.
From Chris Christie throwing out the baseball.
The first baseball. Oh, well, that's all I'll say. Just look at the
Arthur Ashe Award?
No.
They put it on the Vanity Fair cover in lieu of Caitlyn Jenner.
And it says... the Caitlyn's cover says, call me Caitlyn.
Right.
And
it says, call me Christy.
Call me Christy. It's hilarious.
The photo's really...
It's bad. Yeah, we can't say it.
Just to wrap up with Caitlyn, here's what I think about it.
Circle,
Here's what I think about it. There's a reality show that's going to be on this summer, I guess. It's going to reach people who never thought about transgender issues. Remember Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner, was the brains behind the Kardashians. Mm-hmm. And when I say brains behind it, that is a multi-million-dollar business.
Big time.
And how often do you watch it?
I've never watched it.
Okay.
I don't know if I've ever seen a full episode.
Okay, so only Lerone in the studio has even bothered to turn it on.
How long did you watch?
maybe 3 minutes. And that's like after I landed on there by accident.
And
Seriously.
Josh is looking at me like, what's a Kardashian? But they have a huge audience. It's going to reach people who never would have been reached on this issue before, and that's valuable.
It is. I totally agree.
And look what happened in just in our city, right here on Friday. It was Friday. The Above the Fold and Below the Fold was about local trans people. There's an article above the fold on the print paper for the Dallas Morning News with about the trans clinic over at Children's Medical Center. And below the fold was an article that included Katie Sprinkle, Leslie McMurray, who both been on our show to get together, and also Nell Gaither, who's been on our show many times, and their experience and their journey, that it's different from Caitlin.
It's done that, which is great.
So it's. I mean, we're talking about it. We're talking.
Leslie
about
was on the ticket on Wednesday or Thursday, talking about it, and I'll tell you, Leslie was Leslie. Sounded like Leslie being on our show, on the ticket, and the questions that those hosts asked. I have to tell you, we might be out of business if they did a great job. They asked good questions.
They did their homework.
You know, it was, one of them said, I have, I think, 2 friends whose children are transitioning right now.
Wow.
But this was on the ticket, which is not the place. I mean, totally different audience. I would bet of all of our listeners right now, most of them are saying, what is the ticket? It's a sports radio station. And they were great. Leslie, I expected to be good. And she was.
she had to check into getting like a radio career.
Yeah, she should. But the hosts were great, and that's, again, reached a whole different audience that never would be reached on trans issues. When do you talk about trans issues on sports radio for a half an hour?
Right, and so I think if anything, you know, Caitlyn Jenner is certainly not representative of the average trans experience in this country by any stretch of the imagination. But we're talking about it, and so it's an opening. I mean, those articles appeared on Friday on the front page. Took over the front page, and that kind of you know, exposure and let's talk visibility and let's talk about these issues probably wouldn't happen had it not been for Caitlyn Jenner.
Absolutely.
So valuable for that. Before we go, we only have a minute or two. Patti, your favorite candidate announced that he's running for president this week, Rick Perry.
That's like scrambling my brain here going, who?
Yeah, Patti has worked hard in Perry's gubernatorial campaigns every 4 years.
Oops.
What do you think of his chances?
I say to Rick Perry, adios, mofo. Do you remember that one where he told
Do you know the statistic I heard this week, though? Bernie Sanders, we were worried about, you know, and everybody's polling, how does Hillary Clinton stack up 1-to-1 against any of these candidates? Bernie Sanders is outpolling every Republican right now.
That's amazing.
It is.
Go Bernie.
No less Hillary.
Right.
She's 10 points ahead of every. And it's narrowing. Actually, it's narrowing for her. Bernie Sanders, who first got to Congress running as a socialist.
Well, you know, Mark Rubio said this past week that gay marriage proponents, that would be us, advocates, we pose a danger to Christianity.
I think
dangerous.
We do. Yes, we are.
So there you have it.
We pose like we pose danger to kids, just like Josh Duggar. Yeah.
That's a whole show.
That is a whole show.
Yeah, and when I had said let's talk about Huckabee after that, it's you know, the Duggars are one thing. No, they shouldn't have a TV show, but Huckabee.
What is the... Wow.
Yeah.
We're just about out of time. Next week, our guest is Terry Loftus. If you're watching the Tony Awards tonight, you know, being a non-commercial station, we would never tell you who to vote for in an election. But since you can't vote...
No, you can't vote on
You're
this.
rooting for The Visit, which is the last Kander and Ebb musical, because Fred Ebb died in 2006. This was a musical that they had been working on at the time of his death. Terry Loftus is one of the producers of the show. He is up for a Tony Award, his first time out on Broadway.
This is exciting.
Yeah, and
Very.
Terry is local. He used to be president of Resource Center, very active here in Dallas.
Former Lambda Weekly guest.
Yeah, he'll be on next week with us. So we're looking forward to that. So tonight, if you watch the Tony Awards, one more reason to watch.
And if you'd like more information about what happens the day of decision, go find the 2015 Dallas Day of Decision page on Facebook, and we'll talk about it again next week.
As long as the decision didn't already come this week.
Right.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
KNON 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people.
Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to KNON.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.